It is Monday. RawMikeRichards.com, broadcasting live from the DKI studios in downtown Toronto, 234 King Street East from the Pacific Junction Hotel. Coming up this morning and today, depending on when you listen to the podcast, disaster for the Philadelphia Eagles. Carson Wentz looks like a torn ACL. The Leafs have a strange yet very successful weekend over Pittsburgh and more pain for Edmonton. TFC, a story that doesn't seemingly happen as often as it should, but the best team with the best players who played the best all year reward their fans with the championship. I can't think of a team more deserved of what they have done this year, more fitting that after the heartbreak of the previous year, go on a huge streak on the next regular season through the playoffs, including one game without two of their best players, and still hoist the hardware. We'll continue on with our first ever giveaway, which starts today. By the way, mid-afternoon, you're going to get something that's going to make you pretty happy. We're pretty thrilled with it. Getting back to the NFL, do you like the snow games? Do you like football in snow? I don't. Maybe I'm the minority, because people all get horned up. They get very erect over these games in the snow. If you've played in it or you've coached in it, I can tell you, not a fan. And then, of course, we'll go through the things to not do during Christmas, including those hideous lights. I'll get to that later on. Dave, this weekend, pretty interesting stuff. And if you're here in Toronto, it's a couple days old, but TFC winning that championship on Saturday. The game started at 4 o'clock, a little bit earlier. It still didn't mean that it wasn't cold, but all in all, when you take a look what TFC has done, what they did for fans who have suffered through some kind of not very good years, but they still continued to show up, make noise, wear the scarves, show the flags, beat the drums. And
the environment was awesome.
Yeah, it really was good, wasn't it?
You know what? And when you kind of break down the city as a whole, I don't think, I've only lived here for 10 years, so it's not like I have a big history, long history with this city, but TFC wins their championship. A couple weeks ago, the Argos win their championship. The Maple Leafs will be in the postseason for a second consecutive year, maybe a division title. We'll have to see about that. The Raptors will be in the postseason as well. Toronto Rock are always consistent and always a playoff team, and usually the championship of championship teams. The only team, Mike Richards, the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah.
The only team. And who would have thought that, considering
a couple years ago.
2 years ago, this city was ape crap about how great this was, and back-to-back playoff appearances and back-to-back American League Championship Series, and now we're looking at, I don't know, 4th or 5th place in the division at best.
You know what's going to happen. The fervor that you saw over this Blue Jay team, the mania, will just go back to a consistent, because the Blue Jay fans that are always Blue Jay fans and have been since 1976-77, and there'll be just sort of this hum.
Yeah.
Waiting to when it's the popular thing to do again, and then everyone back on.
Yeah, that's kind of when I came to Toronto, where when the Jays would be wearing those black jerseys, and you'd walk into Rogers Center, and you can kind of pick wherever you want to sit.
Sure you could. Especially teams like Baltimore. Remember going to Baltimore and just sit where you want. Can I play? Yeah. You got a glove?
Because you'd walk in there and only 15,000 seats were taken, so you had the majority of them left for your choosing. I hope it doesn't come to that, Mike, but I think that's what Blue Jay fans are going to be looking at this summer.
Okay, so what is this?
Anything good?
Why are they? Oh, okay. It doesn't matter. I'll get back to that later.
Very good.
Taking a look at MLS. And so once again, You know, Seattle Sounders, I mean, their fan base is crazy too. I mean, that's where Seattle has had a stronghold in terms of product on that West Coast. But 2 years in a row, they've come to Toronto, and quite frankly, I mean, there was only one team that really was worthy of winning that day. They were all over the Sounders, and once again, property of MLS. Here is what did it, and the crowd absolutely explodes. Once again, property of MLS.
But it's through to Dempsey. Delgado got a foot to it. Now Michael Bradley. And here's Victor Vasquez. Jovinko. Altidore is onside here. Josie Altidore through on goal. It's Josie Altidore! And the deadlock is broken by Josie Altidore. The midway mark in the second half. Josie Altidore sets BMO Field alight on Toronto's biggest night.
Crazy.
The relief and eruption in the stadium is there for everybody to hear. What a move from TFC. Transition, Ladero goes up one side. TFC within two very clever passes. Altidore's through and goal. Great ball from Morrow. Terrific from Vasquez. Jovinko with a vision. And weight of pass to free Josie Altidore, and his fry came out as he's looked unstoppable tonight. He couldn't stop this one from Altidore. What a finish from the US international. Onto his left foot, clips it over the goalkeeper. Everybody forward.
You know what's interesting as you take a look at that in the history sort of where Toronto is sports-wise. In its history, and now this is obviously recent history, it was only a couple of days ago. Is that one of the biggest moments in Toronto sporting history? You might just have to consider that because it is a international league. It's played on both sides of the border.
Yep.
It has some of the biggest stars on the planet that currently play that game. It is major league in that reference.
Yep. A lot of people don't realize this, Mike. 170 countries receive that broadcast.
Okay, so I mean, it's
like the soccer world. For those 2 hours, it was on Toronto and Seattle. Whether people want to admit that or not, that's the kind of eyes that saw that. That's major. That's big. That's really big.
It's a championship that, again, Canadian teams play against much bigger American teams.
Mm-hmm.
And they were the best team maybe in the history of that league.
They were the best team in the history of the league.
So how can that goal not be one of the biggest sporting moments in the city's history? Now, James Sharman, who came on and joined us, said the way that MSLSE has set this up is that most of these players, I mean, who are they losing? Who's leaving?
Oh, we'll find out this week, but the stars are in place.
The stars are in place, and they're like this team should basically look the same next year.
Yeah.
It is tough to repeat, but if you looked at what they just did, a driven team who lost in possibly one of the worst ways last year, come back to the same team, almost literally the same environment. It's Groundhog Day in terms of sports, and get it done. Does that mean literally they can come back a third championship in a row and win it? That's pretty hard to do, Dave.
Not out of the question, but you're right. No, it's very tough to do. It's hard to come back, and not only come back but host, because that's the great thing I like about MLS. This game wouldn't have the same attraction if they decided to Super Bowl it and go, okay, this year's MLS championships in Orlando, and this year's in LA, and this year's in San Jose, and this, you know what I mean? Like, just to have the designation and have the destination already in place. So not out of the question, and quite frankly, wouldn't be surprised if this actually does happen again. I'll look at some odds in a bit on sportsinteraction.com to see if they have new futures for MLS, because they're usually quite fast, and they usually have something down within the first 48 hours. This might be a little too fast, but I'll get that to you if.
Well, you're talking like a true degenerate gambler. The moment that the confetti is being thrown, you're looking, I wonder what it is for next year.
Yeah, let's figure it out.
Let's try to get some numbers. Before we get to that, and before we get to an NFL that had some truly highlight moments, they had some lowlights, and one in particular I think was the story of the weekend, which was actually a player being knocked out for the year, which was devastating, I think, and a real drag for all NFL fans. We talked about our giveaway. So the first ever Raw Mike Richards giveaway takes place later on today. I'll explain how, but of course, if you watched the show beforehand and you watched it on Friday, we announced this particular excitement. For the first time ever in the history of Raw Mike Richards, we actually have a giveaway. Yeah. Courtesy of our friends at Blade Tape. And just in time for Christmas, next week, if you're a subscriber, if you're watching the screen right now, you could win this. The official Raw Mike Richards Blade Tape. Now, not only is the product outstanding, but this is kind of a cool thing to have and limited to those who are subscribers. If you haven't done it already, Russell's putting up on the screen so you can see it. When you go to our website right now, hit subscribe, you put in your email address, and then we got something called an email blast. If you're on that list, your chance to win, once again, that cool stuff from Blade Tape. It is our first giveaway. It is in time for Christmas, and you want to do that now. So remember, subscribe from rawmicerichards.com in Blade Tape. Oh, we didn't have that part, but here we go. So once again, that will start today. Here, directly from our good friend Ted the Viking. So in the email blast, you'll have a coupon code on it. You place an order for a set of Blade Tape on their website, that is Blade Tape. Use the code, and as we say, holy shit, your product and shipping are free. That's right, absolutely free.
The product and the shipping?
Is free. Plus, you get the limited edition RMR Blade Tape as well. Yes, you can smack a one-timer off my face, or as they say, dish some, what is this? Dish some nice sauce off my chin.
It's kind of creepy, too.
I don't know. Yeah.
I know what you get.
All righty. So once again, a limited edition Raw Mike Richards Blade Tape to show you're a fan of the show. Shipping also free. Limit one coupon code per household. So once again, I know a lot of you are subscribing to the YouTube channel, which is great, but we're talking about the website, right? The Raw Mike Richards website, which we showed there just moments ago. That's what you want to be a part of in order for that e-blast to get to you today on Monday. So do it. What a great Christmas present from us to you. Help me help you. That's what we say here, Dave.
And as soon as you get it, too, feel free to take some pictures of it.
Totally.
And tweet it back at us so we can retweet that out and make everybody else jealous that hasn't taken advantage of this opportunity.
Yeah, just basically the ability for you to tell your friends to eat it.
That's right.
And that says Christmas. Oh, by the way, before we get to the NFL, can I tell you what isn't Christmas?
Tell me what isn't Christmas.
Okay, wait a minute. Maybe I should get some. Christmas music here.
Christmas music?
No, we'll probably get gooned on it again because that's all that happens.
Look for the free Christmas music. The download free, license free.
Yeah, let's see how this works.
Music.
Copy free. Let's see what they're going to show us. Look, this is really the.
There's probably that band Europe that is playing Christmas soon. So.
Europe.
Mind you,
wouldn't be sad if it was Europe.
Yeah.
Do you remember us? We did Final Countdown. No.
Here's Jingle Bells.
Okay, let's see what this sounds like. Oh, little Christmassy by the old fire. Hear the fire?
Okay. Yeah.
There's Dad, and Uncle Dave having a couple of drinks.
Zdeno Char's there too.
Wow. Hey Jim, did I tell you we're getting a divorce? Hey kids, gather around the old tree. So this says Christmas to me. Here's what doesn't say Christmas.
Okay.
Those weird loser spotlight freak show things that look like electronic vomit. Watch the screen. This doesn't say Christmas to me. This says a swingers rave.
Swingers rave, okay.
A swingers party with shag rugs.
Is that Russell's house?
People with hairy chests. What? That's not Christmas. It doesn't replace Christmas lights. Now you got to do it again because it's only like 11 seconds. But look at this thing. This is a train wreck. This is people taking acid. This is mothers making love to their sons. This isn't Christmassy. Why did people? Because you know what? It's lazy. People not going out.
Just stick that in your front yard.
It's like
pink.
Look, it looks like Christmas. No, it doesn't. It looks like aerial vomit. That is not Christmassy. You're lazy. And guess what? Guess what, my friends? You're ruining Christmas. Unless, of course, you have a swingers party downstairs and there's guys with beards and robes.
And hairy chests.
And creams.
Shag rugs.
Yeah, and your mothers are making love to their sons. I'm just saying that's what's going on there. So
Okay, let's be honest here. And Russell, pick up the microphone, too.
Uh-oh. Better change the music.
Within.
Uh-oh. This could be, considering the subject matter, this could get really bad.
No, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Within 3 streets of your current living residences, how many houses have that in your area? Roughly. I know you don't sit there going 1, 2, 3, but how many? Because I actually, when I think of it, while I talk about it, I could actually say to you, in my area, there are 4 houses. For sure, 4 houses that have this.
4 houses out of how many are you saying now?
Oh, well, 3 streets, so that's what...
so 50 houses?
Yeah, maybe anywhere between 50 and 75 houses.
Because ours is way higher.
Really?
I'm saying sometimes there's 2 in a row, sometimes there's 3 in a row.
Really?
Yeah.
You know what's big in our area? Those oversized, and my kids love it, the oversized Santas.
Oh, I get that.
Oh, that is wonderful. And
yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
And by the way, speaking of that, in Leaside on a street called Inglewood, every second house has one of those Santas because they all get together and say, let's make this the Santa Street.
You ever put the dirt bags are going by and they're putting knives in and they're like deflating them?
See, those are the biggest pieces of crap out there for anybody to even think about doing that.
You know what my next thing the next day would be after you knife my my Santa? A lynching with someone on fire.
That's not bad. Yeah, with extra gasoline.
Yeah, we got to get tougher.
Yeah, honestly. Okay,
I swear to God.
Russell, how many houses in your area?
I'll take a rough guess because there's none here in Toronto because I'm all surrounded by apartments. But and I haven't seen any of the lights up in Mississauga yet. But
that's what I was referring to.
Roughly, if I had to guess, yeah, probably around 4 or 5 houses.
Because it's like 40% at least, and that's
I'll take
terrible.
a better drive in my area, but I'm just saying on our actual crescent, there's 2. On the side street, I know of 1, and then I've seen 1 before. Just because I'm trying to mark where I take the girls trick or treating, because 1 goes for a little bit, and then me and Marissa go out for another hour, whether she likes it or not. I'm just trying to figure because it's kind of disappointing. Like I know your area has a lot of lights, which is fantastic. Our area, like on our actual bay, there's maybe 10 houses on the bay that have lights, and it's kind of disappointing. I'm not saying you have to go out there and go decked out, and we don't really go all the way, but we have the windows,
nice Christmas decoration, and it looks like Christmas, by the way.
Yeah, but I'm not saying you have to go Clark Griswold on you.
No,
but I mean, do something, right?
You people.
Thank you.
Speaking of you people, Leaf fans, you got to be happy.
Got to be really happy.
I mean, 1-0 was probably not was expected.
Yeah, your backup goalie that shouldn't even be an NHL goaltender won.
He was out of his mind.
Yeah, he was very good.
Curtis McElhinney was. I mean, if you wanted to see someone who wanted to win, or as we say in the old Bob Coleisms, he wants to win.
Yeah,
he did want to win.
And why not?
Because that was spectacular. And you got to think, if you're Todd McClellan, is the clock running on him? Because look, he's putting out Connor McDavid when as soon as he takes a breath, he's back out there again. But as your best player, I mean,
Connor McDavid did everything yesterday but score.
Yeah,
he was the best player on the ice at both ends of the rink. Anytime he was on the ice, anytime he had a puck, that's what you pay money to see. And I was shocked, first, that he was stopped on that breakaway, and second, that he didn't have himself a 3 or 4 point night because of who was in net for the Maple Leafs.
Well, that's what a lot of people would have thought. You're holding your breath thinking, okay, well, here's...
Yeah.
But it paid off. Obviously, if you're Mike Babcock and the coaching staff, you had the fullest of confidence in Curtis McElhinney, maybe when even the public did not. And you take a look at that win in Pittsburgh, where they jump out to the quick lead,
Yep.
which sometimes can be a little dangerous. When it's that fast, you sit there and think, okay, now you literally, in your mind, are trying to hold off the other team for the whole game. Even though it shouldn't be played like that, trust me, in sports, that's exactly what happens. And the quicker it is, the more dangerous it is to try to hold that lead. So the Leafs get away with one there, 4-3, and then 1-0 on the weekend. And now I'm starting to take a look at this team. And again, this isn't because I sit there and, we're not sponsored by the Toronto Maple Leafs, but I'm looking at it as someone who's just observing the league. And at this point, if you're not recognizing this team is for real or that has different ways to win, because that's when we talk about the culture of winning, the one thing that comes with that is when you don't play well enough to win or deserve to win, different things happen.
Yep.
Comes from different lines, Dave. Sometimes it's the third line scoring. You get some contributions from the fourth line, or you get your backup goaltender standing on their head like they want to win the Vezina. These are the kinds of things that happen when the whole team is starting to build a culture of winning. And right now, I think that's exactly what the Leafs are doing.
Yeah, and not to look too far ahead because I know we're only like 30, 31 games into the season, but if you're the Toronto Maple Leafs and you're the fan base, stay where you are. Stay in second place in the Atlantic, because if you kind of quickly look at the standings right now, Tampa Bay would open up as the number 1 seed facing the Pittsburgh Penguins in the first round. You do not want to face the Pittsburgh Penguins in the first round. And I'm not saying the Penguins are going to be there. I think the Penguins are going to be a top 3 team in the Metropolitan. But if you look at it, Columbus, Washington, New Jersey, Pittsburgh, the Islanders, two of those teams are going to be wild card teams. And if you win the Atlantic, that's your first round. If you don't, if you're the Toronto Maple Leafs and you're sitting in second spot in the Atlantic, you may have to face the Boston Bruins, or you might face the Montreal Canadiens, or you might, a team like that. And you'd rather have that first round matchup. If you want to get a little bit picky, that's a much better matchup than anything else.
Well, there's some teams that I take a look at, and if you're the Leafs, it's kind of going to plan. I mean, I don't know how else to put it, but it really is. You're kind of...
The Shanna plan?
The Shanna plan is working. If you're in Ottawa right now,
yeah,
like we've not talked about them in terms of, when there's panic. Now, we talked to Liam McGuire before the weekend, but now when you take a look at what needs to be done, are you talking about the possibilities of an Erik Karlsson even being on the trading block?
That's the rumor we're hearing, that a number of players with no trade moves, I'm not saying Karlsson's going to be one of them, but a number of players with no trade moves have been requested to I guess, release the list, so to speak, because...
And that's a sign. That's one of the signs.
It is a sign, considering they're we're 10 games away from the halfway point of the season. That's pretty significant. Everybody talks about the quarter pole. It's like halfway point of the season. You've played 50% of your games. You know who you are, what you have to bring to the table. If you're the Ottawa Senators, you're bringing to the table a non-playoff team that's underachieving, that might be looking for a new head coach and might be looking to dish off a lot of these assets for something of the future. And if you're Matt Duchene, who went over there in a trade, you're thinking to yourself, okay, maybe the waters in Colorado weren't as bad as I thought they were, because
they're still pretty bad, though.
Yeah, I know. I know, but I'm just saying, you want to live in Denver, or do you want to live in Ottawa?
Yeah, well, I know where I want to live, and it's not Ottawa.
No.
It's not Ottawa for anybody.
No, it's not Ottawa. Ottawa's not on my top 50.
No, it's not coming.
And I've lived there too, so.
And you look at teams like, that's a team that I believe is in real turmoil. I look at Buffalo, who's just almost a non-starter.
Nope. That's disappointing.
Like, it is.
That's major disappointing, considering the assets that they've built up, and a young defense and a couple new young forwards and the second overall pick, and the goaltender who was drafted in the first round by the Senators that came over that turned into junk. It's so many things have gone wrong in Buffalo, and that's I thought for sure that would be changing by now.
The other team that we've been waiting for, and at the beginning of the seasons, when you start talking to the insiders, I think for the last couple of years, I think Columbus would have been towards the top of that list, and finally it looks like they're sort of playing to their potential. Now, look, once again, we're talking about teams have only played like 30 games, but once you get a little bit closer to the halfway mark, which isn't really that much further, Columbus is starting to look like the team that a lot of people have been predicting for the last couple of years.
Oh, yeah, and they have one of the best goaltenders in the league. They have a nice, solid defense. The 12 that they roll up front is pretty consistent. And you know what? And I know this happens from time to time, but John Tortorella has been relatively calm this year. You don't hear about.
There's not been one story that I can think of.
No, there hasn't been that story where he tells off Larry Brooks or he tells off Steve Simmons or somebody else. But it's been smooth sailing for the Blue Jackets, and you know what? First place for a reason. And for my money, they will be a top 3 team in the Metropolitan Division.
The Washington Capitals have had a pretty nice streak here. They've won 4, they're 8-2 in their last 10. But you know what? They have fallen into the category of, I would say, where their fan base, not unlike what's going to happen with the Calgary Stampeders.
Yep.
This regular season. Yeah, you go ahead. There's the arms folded, and for a team like Washington, those arms might be folded until you get closer to a conference final, because you're still folding your arms. I'm telling you, that's a tough environment. Now, look, is it going to be better if they're not the President's Trophy, winners? Is it going to be better if they kind of have to work for a living, as I put it sometimes?
Yep.
But still, Dave, I mean, you cannot take a look at anything that happens in the regular season, unfortunately, no matter how good that record is.
That's exactly it, because it's funny. It's if you're looking at it and you don't know anything about the history of this organization in the last 5-6 years, you go, that's a nice team. They have a relatively young goaltender, pretty good core up front, decent defense, smart head coach behind the bench, but then you bring into the history of it, and it's failure in the second round, failure in the first round, failure in the second round, You know what? It's just something that that as nice as it is to hold a President's Trophy at the end of the year, it almost seems to be a legitimate jinx to the NHL team that does win it. And the Capitals are kind of like the poster childs of don't win the President's Trophy and don't tell us about the 82 games. Call us in April.
If you're a Flyer fan, are you pissed?
Yes.
Because I didn't see this bottoming out. Because I knew, look, in the last couple of years, and guys like Pierre Maguire have talked about some of the young players and some of the guys in their system that probably could come up and look pretty good. They're abysmal, and I didn't think it would be this bad.
What the Flyers have done is they've promised the future, but the future hasn't come yet, especially on the defensive core. They have some nice young defensemen. A couple of them are already in place, but there's still a couple to come. So I think that defense core will be decent. Up front, outside of 3 forwards, they have literally nothing. Wayne Simmons has completely underachieved this year, considering this guy was a 30-goal guy last year and an all-star, and their goaltending has been horrific. They replaced Steve Mason, who is an average goaltender at best, with somebody that's even worse than Steve Mason. So you just kind of look at there and you go, well, nobody's bailing us out on the far end. The head coach that's been in place for 2 years might be on his way out. That might be the first head coach that's fired this year. We'll see about that. But for the most part, it's been nothing but disappointment, and this Flyer team isn't going to leave the disappointed area because they're not going to contend. They're not going to be a wild card team. They're not going to be a playoff team. They're going to be picking in the top 5 to 7 this upcoming year.
The one team that amazes me, and people, of course, I mean, Vegas is a crazy story, and they're still hanging around. They're at 29 games. As I said, there's still a lot of hockey to come down to reality. Fleury has just been activated.
Yep.
Like their guy has not been playing. But to me, the Los Angeles Kings, in the same cycle that I'll talk about the Chicago Blackhawks, so I'm not that horrified that maybe they're not one of the better teams in the league because of the cycle that I talk about. Well, Los Angeles was in that same cycle with Daryl, and yet Daryl's not there. Los Angeles, right now, first in the Pacific. I just thought at some point they would need to refresh or hit the reset button. Are you telling me that they've done this somehow with all of us not really paying attention, and they truly are the best team in the Pacific?
Yeah, you know what? The Pacific Division is a division that can be won too, because it isn't that good. You have the Edmonton Oilers that are bottoming out. You have the Ducks that are kind of hurt by injuries and had to make that big trade. Those are 2 out of the 3 teams that I would think that would finish at the start of the year in the top 3 positions in the Pacific. You have with the Kings, you have an Anze Kopitar that's almost almost having make goods from a last season that was horrific. Jeff Carter, when he's in the lineup, is very, very good.
What about a healthy Jonathan Quick?
A healthy Jonathan Quick is always better than what we've seen in the past because the inconsistency of having this guy in the lineup for a long period of time just isn't there. And the other thing too is Dustin Brown has found himself a new game as well, because in the last number of years, Dustin Brown has been the guy that they've wanted to dump. They've asked for the trade. They've asked for the teams.
Didn't he lose his captaincy?
He lost the captaincy.
Which generally means as a player, you're done with them.
You're done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's hard to walk in that dressing room, Mike, if you're the captain one day and the next day you're not. I mean, from a ego point of view, and
sort of like doing the morning show and then you got pushed to the afternoon.
Geez, you know what? Yeah.
Yeah.
Or doing the morning show and then not
doing it at all. Yeah.
Yeah, geez. I never thought of that.
Who would do that?
Good point. I don't know. Somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, I guess.
Clearly in the standings, that probably weren't some great moves.
And like the Los Angeles Kings, some people just bounce back and turn into the first place teams that they are.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you see what we did there? Did you smell that one out? You're watching Raw Mike Richards either on the .com, right on the site, where you want to subscribe if you want those, you want this.
Yeah.
You want this. Oh, that's not even the ones with the face on it. So
is it on the back, though? Isn't it?
No, this is the DKI ones.
Okay, but it's very close to that. It's very close to that.
Yeah, let's just show up here. If you just joined us, if you are watching live, or later on, this is what you're going to get free with the e-blast that is going to go out, including free shipping as well. This is a great deal. Unbelievable from our good friends at Blade Tape and Ted. But once again, that e-blast in the middle part of Monday. So wherever you happen to be watching from, we're saying Eastern time, probably around noon-ish or in the middle of the day. Expect to see something like that. The code will come with it. The code takes you to bladetape.com, and this is where you're going to get your free product. We've got it for 5 days, and we are limiting it one per household. If you're doing it that way. So that is some great stuff.
Russell has a couple of households. Can he capitalize on that?
No.
Okay. I'm just saying. Because sometimes he lives downtown and sometimes he lives in Mississauga. And
we got to be tough but fair.
Yeah. Interesting.
The ominous music is for Carson Wentz, which just sickens me. I just feel so bad for a guy who has been a real warrior. I mean, and generally you don't talk about your quarterback being that guy. I will talk about linebackers, maybe, someone on the defensive side of the ball. Sometimes you can mention a running back, sort of that Marshawn Lynch kind of guy who plays, at least at one point, like a real warrior. And now you've got Carson Wentz, where they're saying that they really do fear that it's a tore ACL. And so when it comes to what has been a magnificent season for him, sadly, this is going to come to an end, and you're going to see Nick Foles, Dave. And I just wonder, as well as that team, because, look, Philadelphia is a very, very good team, but are you really telling me that you have the same confidence in the Philadelphia Eagles without Carson Wentz? Because that's what you're dealing with now. And I said Nick Foles, although he came in and did a decent job, and he's certainly familiar with the offense.
Yeah, and he's been there before.
It's not like you're putting in Peterman.
No.
But you're losing your guy, just like Houston lost their guy. And it's just so tough in a season where we've seen a lot of really low-level football. To see a guy like that go out, that it just really sucks. It sucks.
What happens with the Philadelphia Eagles now, unfortunately, is they kind of turn into more of an offense that, what's the word I'm looking for, will game manage more than excite you. If you watched any set of downs with Carson Wentz this year, the guy's an MVP candidate. That's how good it's been. And even yesterday during that Rams game, which I watched most of until he got hurt, he was phenomenal, the way he moves in and around the pocket. Philadelphia is lucky because the upcoming schedule isn't fantastic. They play 3 teams that are most likely not going to make the playoffs. Next week it's the Giants. The week after that it's the Raiders, and then they finish off on December the 31st against the Cowboys.
So you have 3 very winnable games for them.
Games, yeah.
Now that is one in of the many bizarro scenarios that I've seen so far this season in the NFL. How about this one? The Cleveland Browns
blew it.
I'm thinking this is the game they win. And really, I think a lot of people before they went into this weekend, I think were you on Cleveland?
I was on Cleveland.
Yeah,
yes.
I think a lot of people were. They thought if this is the game that you're going to win, don't blow it. don't find a way to lose, and they do, Dave.
Yeah.
I mean, it is by definition, we talked about the culture of winning. This far exceeds the culture of losing, and it must exist to the utmost in a city where they're nothing but disappointers, and just to find a way to lose, and that is just, they're a disease is what they are, Dave.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, well, I guess you're going 0 for 16 because they seem to have everything in place as far as the offensive weapons, except the quarterback position, which will be changed. The defense isn't horrific, but it has to be upgraded. The coaching staff apparently is going to be back next year, which is crazy because Hugh Jackson's won one game in 2 years, and but he's going to be back next year.
He's going to be back.
So it's one of those things where you missed a big opportunity against the team that was missing their superstar, and you still ended up finding a way of losing it.
If we're going through what happened yesterday, the one game that Dave liked, the second it came on the board was San Francisco, Houston. Jimmy Garoppolo.
Love him.
There, 26-16. You were on this. I said before the number was out, you were on this.
Yeah. Jimmy G is quickly becoming one of my favorite quarterbacks, and I love it because it's one of those numbers that San Francisco is always going to be dogs. So, how much of a dog we'll have to see this upcoming weekend. Just to give you a quick preview, they're home to Tennessee. I actually like the 49ers to win.
The 49ers will be at home?
49ers are at home. Tennessee makes the cross-country trip to Santa Clara, wherever that stadium
San Francisco has lost a lot of close games as well this year, even to teams that are a lot better. They've hung around.
Yep.
But now they have a guy who can actually distribute the ball. And they're probably believing in the guy. It's football. You walk in that room, and I look at everybody and say, today we win. I don't want to hear anything else. Today we win. You go out there, you throw a touchdown, they're like, holy shit, he said today we're going to win, and now we're winning.
Yeah.
That's what has to happen. That's the quarterback position.
He has the potential of being easily a top 10 quarterback in this league next year. So put that for what you're worth. If they could surround themselves with proper receivers, they have one guy in place. They have a decent running back. They have to strengthen the offensive line and the defense, but they have the foundation in place of making a pretty good run in a division that's going to be tough because you have a Seattle team that probably is going to lose some weapons. That's the easier part. The Cardinals not that good, but the Rams are steps above you, and that's going to be the competition right there. I see LA San Francisco turning into a pretty heated rivalry for the next number of years if this is how it works out. By the way, Phil Gray and I have been going back and forth on text. He'll take action on TFC to repeat next year at 7-1 right now.
7-1 is a
7-1
big fat number.
Yeah. So, and those numbers will be coming up on Sports Interaction a little bit later on in the week. But just as a preview, if you want to get in, not only go to Sports Interaction, open the account, use the drop-down menu to click on Raw Mike Richards to get your bonus up to $200, and you get an opportunity to bet the 7-1 on TFC. And he says most of the year it was at 5-1, but because it's a new season, tough to repeat. You're getting a couple new expansion teams. I can't confirm that, but I'm pretty sure Miami is actually entering the fold this year.
God, more another sporting franchise in Miami that people will be excited for the first game.
Yeah, David Beckham is part of that ownership group.
Of course he is.
So,
yeah, and he'd pick. I think we'll take Miami. Can we put a team in Miami? Of course we can, David. Hey, are you gonna take your shirt off?
Yeah.
No, that'd be weird.
Yeah, so
just us blokes, you know what I mean?
So yeah, TFC, will be on the board a little bit later on the week, and if you like that number, now's a chance to jump on it because futures work. Best number is right up front.
Yep.
Just like my 11.5 wins for the New England Patriots, and tonight is number 11.
Tonight's number 11, and it will be number 11.
It will be number 11,
and they'll cover that number. I mean, it was minus 10.5 I saw, but
yeah. I caught
they could play poorly and cover that game.
They should.
Yeah.
And for the sake of the win, they need a 1-point win for me to be in the win category, and then we'll see.
And that's it.
That's it.
Speaking of the win category, and this is a really weird situation that has been typical of the NFL season that is weird. So there's Cleveland who finds a way to lose, which means, obviously, in that scenario, Green Bay has won. If Green Bay has won, that puts them almost in the conversation of getting a playoff spot. Guess who appears to be healthy?
Dun, dun, dun.
So if you're Green Bay, because you got to play Carolina, and Carolina surprisingly beats Minnesota. I loved Minnesota in that spot. I really thought Minnesota would have no problem.
I bet Minnesota minus 2.5 points.
Yeah, I thought that was probably one
and
of the
they had an opportunity at the end yesterday,
Yes, they
by
did.
the way. They had the opportunity.
Yeah. And I just, you know what? Is it just me, or when Newton takes off for the 62-yard run, like I felt sick to my stomach.
Yep. No.
Like I wasn't. Sometimes I watch these guys, and I'm, as I said, sort of athletically, and a guy who's coached a lot of sports. I kind of like the big moment. I wanted to vomit yesterday.
Yeah.
I did.
No, I totally agree.
But are you playing? You telling me you're going to play Aaron Rodgers? Because if it's almost a one and done for him personally. If they win, they got a chance. But if they don't win, then he just sits for the rest of the season.
Bingo.
What do you do?
And you know what?
The only chance you have of getting in and winning, Dave, is to have him at quarterback. That's the only chance you have.
That's the only chance. Yeah.
But do you risk it?
Tough schedule. The arm looks like it's good though. I think you go out there and you try. You try it against Carolina. You'll see what happens, and after that, you either take a step back and say there's something wrong with
What are the following two games?
Well, you know about the Panthers this weekend. It's
Yeah.
in Carolina, by the way.
Yeah.
You're home to the Vikings,
Oh God.
and then you travel to Detroit on the 31st, which is never an easy task. So it's you have the Carolina Hurricanes, and then you have your two biggest rivals right now that are ahead of you in the standings. Just looking at you square in the face.
What do you do? What do you do? If you're taking a look at it and you're McCarthy, because number one, Aaron's going to say yes.
Yep.
I can't see him not wanting to get into that game.
He's been throwing a ball consistently for 2 weeks. And if you watch parking enforcement, doot, doot, doot.
Oh, I got it today.
Everything's in.
Today, I
Okay.
got it today.
Yeah.
Thanks, Green P app.
If you're looking at that, then you're, I'm throwing them out there to tell you the honest truth.
Taking a look at some of the other scores, there's Chicago taking out a terrible Cincinnati Bengal team. I mean, that Bengal team, you've got to figure Marvin Lewis, he's loved by that ownership, but if you're Marvin Lewis, are you even taking a knee yourself? Because that whole, I talk about the cycles, it's done. That whole thing in Cincinnati is done. Andy Dalton, I'm not going to put it, by the way, squarely on him either. He doesn't play defense. But it just seems like that stigma, there's a stink about that team, and it ain't going away. So unless you start changing things, including the head coach, and I like Marvin Lewis, but it just got to go.
He's been there for a decade too, Mike.
Yeah,
so sometimes the message gets a little.
I agree. And look, I'm not anti-Marvin Lewis. There was a time where he had just a bunch of degenerates, it seemed like, on the team.
Yep.
And the level of discipline didn't always seem that high because he's more or less a player's coach. But at this point now, I don't think he should be the coach there at all. He'll find a job. Marvin Lewis, he's a good football man. He'll find a job, but it can't be there anymore. Snow games, do you like them? Buffalo wins in OT 13-7. If you had, depending, like the under, you just should have gone upstairs or wherever you are immediately upon seeing that game, because it was like 38, I think, originally.
Yep.
There's no way it was getting that. But do you like the snow games? Do you like to see the fact that they had to go out there and for Vinatieri kick the snow out of the way? And I put on Twitter, I don't know if you saw it yesterday, and as it happened.
The Colts were jobbed in that game, by the way.
So as that kick to tie the game for the extra point comes out, I took a picture on Twitter because I wanted to see if I could capture it live. That ball was way wide, and in the shot that I took, you could see one of the Buffalo players already going like this. And then the thing just goes, and it goes in.
True.
Then he gets a chance to win it wide because he kicked it in the middle, and it still pushed it. Excuse me, did you not just kick one a while ago where you played, the snap hook?
And this is a Hall of Famer, by the way.
And,
that's a Hall of Fame kicker.
And he kicked it towards the middle, which means it was going wide.
Yep.
But I'm one of these people, because everyone gets horned up when they see snow football.
It's different, right?
And it's not for me, because I'm like, this will be, now it's coming down to luck, interceptions, who holds onto the ball.
Fumbles,
it gets a little goofy. I don't particularly, it's a chapter in one of my books. But people love it, though, Dave.
Yep.
They get all excited.
Well, it's visual, right? And that's what
I think that's what it is.
That's what had me captured. And by the way, if you watch that game like I did, that Jack Doyle touchdown was a touchdown, and the 2-point conversion as well. So they count the touchdown. They go back to Doyle on the opposite side of the field. It's in the end zone. It's caught, and the guys are celebrating, walk off the field, and then a flag is thrown. The flag was at least a strong 8 seconds. Now count 8 seconds in your head. Thrown after the catch was made. It was brutal. It should have been, the final score should have been 8-7 for the Colts, and it was garbage officiating that managed to screw up a garbage game for two garbage teams.
Other games that you may or may not have watched, because there's a lot of stuff that was quite frankly unwatchable. The Raiders didn't even show up at all.
No, thanks for coming.
That was,
That's a big disappointment.
They score 15 points in the fourth quarter, but that is just nothing but window dressing.
Hooray for them.
The Cowboys and the Giants, whether Eli was playing or not,
that game was 10-all too at one point.
Yeah, the Cowboys are going to, they fought their way through it, but the Giants, there's another organization. See you later. Just get Eli somewhere. You thought maybe Jacksonville might be a place. Jacksonville, by the way, gets the win yesterday against the Seahawks.
Yeah, I know. Anytime they lose, it's good.
It is good. It is so
the
awesome.
The best games on the schedule, Mike, were the two later ones. It was the Philadelphia Rams one, which was sensational.
Yep.
It was going back and forth like a CFL game. Now, I got to admit,
I love seeing games in the old Coliseum still.
Yes,
still love it.
Yes, exactly. And the actual aerial shot where the sections that are parallel with the field, there's only one section.
Yeah,
it's not like when
it's a massive humanity.
Yeah, like when you enter on either side, and if it's on the 35-yard line, you could be row 100 because there's no upper deck to it. So it's kind of like,
yeah,
and it's like, oh, I'm in the same section as you, but my tickets are $100 less because I'm 100 rows above you.
Or it's like some of those bowl games.
Yes.
That they had there, or back when the original
USC still plays there, right?
They do.
They do.
Yeah, they do. I've never been. I've only been outside the building. I've never been in.
I would. Love
we should
to
do
see
that. Why are we not doing this?
I would love to see a game in the Coliseum, and and of course the Coliseum, very famous for the 1984 Olympics.
I thought you were going to say it was a Black Sunday. Was that the one with the sniper? And now people are like, okay, isn't it weird? Now people don't want to see that stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say
it's too real. It's too. Well, look what happened in New York this morning. There's a pipe bomb that went off.
Was there really?
They have a suspect.
Oh wow!
I mean, this is some of these movies that we used to make because they were sort of fantasy about kidnappings and everything else. People are like, we don't need to see it in the show anymore.
No,
because that is their life. So I'm sure more as you're listening to this, and I'm, as it comes out later today, depending on when you listen or watch this podcast, just hope for the best. But right now, right in the middle of Manhattan.
I didn't know that.
At like 7 o'clock in the morning. It's one of the most busy places on the planet.
Yes.
So this was obviously preconceived. I don't have any of the details, but I do know we'll follow along. And I'm sure if you're watching CNN or any of the news agencies, this will be the story of the day. We just, again, hope and pray it just doesn't end up being another huge mess. I don't have any of the information in front of me, but I do know that has happened. So
subway line shut down, massive evacuations at Times Square. Subway station beneath Port Authority. Sources confirm reports of possible device, most likely a pipe bomb.
Terrible.
Wow. If you're evacuating, I've been there many times. If you're evacuating Times Square,
good luck.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, and apparently it was a ghost town within about 80 minutes.
Wow.
Is what the word was, which is an incredible job considering what went on. So thoughts and prayers for any of our friends in that area who watch the show. Continuing on here, should mention also the Chargers win 30-13, Dave, over the Redskins, a banged-up Redskins team. And now you got to start asking yourself, like, do you have faith in the Chargers?
Yeah, they're winning the division.
How good are they? How far they can? Because I'll tell you what, of all the teams over the years that I don't have faith in, there's two of them. There's Atlanta, and any team that Phillip Rivers is on, and that's not a pound against Phillip Rivers. It's just the teams that he's on. There tends to be something that happens, and they always underachieve.
This seems a little bit different. I don't know what it is, but you're right, because they've been a let-down team. And if you actually look at their first 3 games this season, if they get some better luck and a field goal kicker that actually can kick a field goal, they're not 7-6, Mike. They're a close to 10-win team. and that's how good they are. I think they'll win the division, and I think they'll make some noise in the postseason. Now, I'm not going to say they're going to go to New England and win or go to Pittsburgh and win, but they might be the third best team in the conference when everything is said and done.
It'll be interesting to see what kind of team you see tonight in Miami with New England, because at some point, are they good enough to beat teams by 3 and 4 touchdowns? Absolutely. They seem to be lately. If there's a team that they can do that against, it should be Miami. Here's what I hate, though. I hate when they play that kind of ball where they're just in control of the game like the whole time, and then they end up winning by like
10
or 9 or 10 points. I'm like, why
7.
didn't? Because Bill Belichick isn't someone who necessarily cares about the point spread.
No.
So that's why I always hold my breath a little bit.
He's not like Mike Zimmer or Andy Reid, who actually have a very working knowledge of what that point spread is. I'm just saying, allegedly.
And finally, if we're looking at the NFL, the crazy game, as you mentioned last night, 39-38 Steelers over
Number covered.
the Ravens.
Number covered. That was massive cover, too. It was 5 points, too, at kickoff for the Ravens. You got 5 points. Pittsburgh with 19 fourth-quarter points get by.
And also, that is 500 yards for Ben Roethlisberger.
Not bad, eh?
Okay. Music.
Antonio Brown, by the way, another MVP candidate, 11 catches for 213 yards.
I want to get this out, too, before I forget. If you can find me a picture, roast beef, of John Ryan. Now, John Ryan.
Oh, yes.
From the province of Saskatchewan.
That's right.
Who ends up playing, I think he was
a Regina Ram.
I think he was a Regina Ram.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
And he comes from that great heritage of Western Prairie football. He's a pretty big dude, too. I mean,
doesn't look like a punter.
No, he does not. He ends up playing at first for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Yep.
And so at the time, there was a game, Winnipeg comes to Calgary. And I go out there and I talk to him a little bit with his agent, Gil Scott. And I'm watching him hammer the ball in warm-ups. I'm running the field, and I say to Gil, well, how long is he staying in this league? And Gil goes, not long.
He's not lying.
Then he goes to Green Bay, and I have him on the show.
Yeah.
And I said, what's that like? I mean,
Lambeau Field.
I said, you're walking in that dressing room. I said, so you're, you see, there's Brett Favre.
Yeah.
And my friend, have you seen him naked? He goes, yeah, I have. Now, the irony is, apparently a lot of people did.
All you have to do is text him, and you can see him naked, too.
With the advent of these, apparently everybody saw him naked. But he's an awesome guy, and this comes from our good friends at
Loves
Epilepsy.
Crocs, too. Loves Crocs.
Loves the Crocs?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That I didn't need to know.
Yeah.
Our good friend Jay Barker from Aiden's Drive. This is Epilepsy Canada. So we need your help, and this is kind of cool. So with this amazing, it's called Cleats for a Cause. So this is auctions at the Seahawks. It is a listing that's on right now. So for Epilepsy Canada, he's going to donate his game-used cleats with the number 9 on them. They're autographed by John Ryan, and the proceeds from the cleat will go to Epilepsy Canada. So please visit auctions.seahawks.com. And once again, go there, autographed. The monies will all go to our good friends at Epilepsy Canada. We're just thrilled about it. Apparently, he's got some tie, and maybe down the road, probably, I'm thinking in the off season.
Awesome.
We'll get a hold of John and see exactly what that is. But once again, keep the bids coming. It is John Ryan, his number 9 cleat. It is autographed, game used, and the proceeds go to Epilepsy Canada. So, as I said, Jay and his great son Aiden, who we think about, I see he had a little bit of a rough ride there the previous week, and it always is hard for us to see that, but he's a fighter. Because we're going to be talking about this again with Epilepsy Canada Aiden's Drive at Hockley Valley, where we did our kind of very first attempt
and we'll be back
at a remote. So we're going to be back, and I'm going to round up some of the hockey players, and if you want to be involved, you certainly send me an email and let me know, but we'll be doing this a little more official. I just want to make sure right now that you're aware of auctions.seahawks.com. So if you're a Canadian and a Seahawks fan, and I know there's a lot of you out there, if you want to help out Epilepsy Canada, go there, bid on John Ryan and his number 9 cleat. You're watching RawMikeRichards.com. Also, subscribe, make sure, because that e-blast for the awesome giveaway continues. You know what, Russell, let's just throw that up again. The e-blast goes out sometime in the middle of the day, Eastern time. So if you have registered on rawmicrichards.com, you'll be getting information that will give you a code that takes you to Blade Tape. You fill that out, free product, free shipping. How about that for Christmas?
Love it.
That's more Christmassy than the horrific vomitorium spotlights that I see in homes.
True.
And I know you're not trying. So if you've got to go, hey, Richards, that's my house. That's what I do. Then you got to try harder, my friend.
Yeah.
Not everybody makes the team.
Yeah, most people don't.
Hey, Russell, what do you think about that comment? Russell's going, why me now? I saw Russell on Saturday night, and I was saying all these nice things, and people go, oh, that's amazing that you just said that about him, because you and Dave never say anything like that to Russell on the show.
That's true.
It's true, but look, Rusty's in a good mood because the Leafs.
Yeah.
All right, let's make some predictions right now.
There's some winners.
Even though you don't have your giant, you have your TFC scarf on,
Yeah.
so that's good. Oh no,
he's going to the parade, by the way, which starts. It's okay. It's almost 11 o'clock here. It starts in 45 minutes. He's going to the parade.
He's got a giant Leaf hat back on. Are not going to put it on for the Russ Cam?
And his TFC scarf also.
So an actual prediction on what's going to happen with the Toronto Maple Leafs postseason-wise, how far do they go? Are they going to the Stanley Cup?
Yeah,
maybe?
are they going to the Stanley Cup?
I'm going to say second round. I think.
Oh, so you have no faith in the team. That's nice. That's nice.
I just
Austin
think
Matthews
they
is
still don't have enough playoff experience, but anything can happen. But my guess will be a second round, hopefully 7-game exit.
You know what it is?
What?
He doesn't trust the bad goaltending that the Leafs will have in the postseason.
Oh,
that's what it is.
So you don't like Frederik Andersen? Maybe you're thinking he's Frederik Andersuck.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe the reality of the situation is seeping in, going, you know what?
Yeah.
The April date on the calendar means bad goaltending.
Yeah, maybe. Or Curtis Mackel, not very good any.
Ooh, that's good. That's a long name to put on the back of a jersey.
Very insulting.
Yes.
What was the guy who? What was the guy from University of Pittsburgh? The kicker, and he missed a couple of kicks, and it was like his last name was like Whiff or something like that.
Terrible name for a kicker.
It was. He had a name for a kicker that wasn't good.
Just like the Regina kicker, the Rough Riders kicker. His first 4 letters of his name is Crap.
Oh, yeah.
Crapanola
or whatever.
Yeah. C-R-A-P.
It's also
probably gets used a couple times.
Also in the not very good category. So we've got lots of stuff going on here, as we just mentioned, on a Monday. More sort of, quite frankly, today recapping what is a lot of stuff kind of going on. As I mentioned, Carson Wentz is terrible news. I think even for football fans. Aaron Rodgers, does he come back to save a season? I mean, if you're looking at these, how they build stories and the legacy of people, where they end up being in a movie or something. Is Aaron Rodgers going, this is going to be a great scene?
Mm-hmm. Could be.
Or maybe I'm the only one who thinks that, your life is a movie about all these amazing things and things happen to you, and then you come back. Like, why has there not been a Doug Flutie movie?
There should be. There should be.
There's some, in all seriousness, there are some moments, and there are things to do with his life that are great on some of them and upsetting on the others. The way he lost his parents is one of the worst things I've ever seen. And you'd have to think, if someone's doing this movie, they're looking at someone's life. It's got all the highs and lows that I've ever seen. And I said the way that he lost his parents was terrible. But this season in the NFL has been as bizarre. And Deshaun Watson, who doesn't get to finish it, now Carson Wentz, which is just sad. So now you look at the playoffs. Who do you trust? Do you trust the ones that are getting in at the top? Or do you trust like a 6 seed, for instance? This is going to be quite an interesting season in the NFL, and sometimes for all the wrong reasons, by the way. And yes, I do not like snow games. It's not my thing. Don't like it.
What?
I know. A lot of people do.
Just become best friends. Yep.
Yes.
You want to go do karate in the garage?
By the way,
yeah.
You and I just got best friends.
Yeah.
Aaron Judge tweeted that out to Giancarlo Stanton on the weekend. That actual meme from the movie.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and that Yankee press conference is this afternoon at 2:00 to confirm the trade with the Marlins.
And here's what's weird about that. That's probably a trade that they weren't even necessarily looking for.
Correct.
Like Ohtani, I get that.
That's what they wanted.
And they get Giancarlo Stanton. That's
Which
nice.
is even better, I think.
It's going to be very good. World Series. Okay, so coming up this week, possibility of Toronto Rock people, maybe Jamie Dominic, the owner.
Yeah, looking for that. Possibly Clark Judge, and we have a couple other little surprises.
Yeah,
and much more.
Yeah, make sure if you want the Mike Richards Blade tape, make sure you subscribe. E-Blast goes out later today.